we have an opportunity to build on that, to make a new product in part of our tourism in terms of what we offer a European or American coming to Trinidad and Tobago to experience something new. So your point about language is critical. Spanish is critical because they're our closest neighbor, and it's something that is critical for career development in terms of business going forward. So that's one key area that I would support. Clearly, even putting conversational Spanish at the primary school level, not learning grammar.
Primary school.
Primary school, but learn conversational. Good morning, good evening, how are you? What's the price for this? When you get into secondary school, we can learn grammar and verbs and the other things that needed for proper dialect in terms of writing Spanish. But at least at the standard 1 to standard 5 stage, conversational Spanish, because they're running about all over your communities.
Yes.
So you have to be
they're having children too,
Absolutely. So Spanish is critical at the end of the day for our market, our closest market in terms of business opportunity.
Rushton, the Guyana.
Yes.
And now Suriname too.
Yeah.
And you're talking about language, well, Suriname is with the Dutch, and they're holding on to that, I could tell you. I have to go there, it's part of my territory, they're holding on to that fiercely. But they're about to explode in terms of oil and gas. And I listened to President Ali talking about the reorganization of the University of Guyana to meet this largesse that they have. You think he's on the right track? He talked about tertiary level education, huh?
So I've been to Guyana for quite some time over the last 2 years. When I travel to Guyana, I do spend some time talking to taxi drivers. At the hotel, I would speak to a lot of the assistants and so on, because I want to get a feel of what the average Guyanese is thinking in terms of their new government, their new administration. I can tell you from my information is that they're on the right track. So I've listened to President Ali talk about how do we take the money that we're getting from oil and gas and invest it in a new Guyana. And his new Guyana is not one that is founded on oil and gas. It's how we're going to take that revenue and create new streams, tourism, agriculture, science and engineering, how we're going to get our universities to teach young Guyanese AI, automation. So when the period of the oil is over, Guyana has a 15, 20, 30, 50-year plan in terms of how it has cultured its small population for the jobs of the future. And I think that is the point of where we are here in Trinidad as a mature oil and gas economy. I think we have not done a pretty good job in terms of directing where our career development, our jobs of the future has to go in any real way. And when you look at where we are as a country, 60% of our revenue comes from oil and gas. Now, we know it's a depleting resource, probably 10, 15 years, unless we find more deposits in terms of oil and gas. We may have an issue. So how do we drive national policy today to create the jobs of the future? So in my view, Pastor, I always say I have a different view of how I see the world. There are 3 main areas that we ought to be focusing on. One, the move away from fossil-based fuel means that in Trinidad and Tobago, we have to look at wind, solar, sea, ocean, anything that is not in the fossil fuel area. That opens up a wide amount of career opportunities in those fields. The second area, digital transformation, ICT. When you look at the development of AI, it is coming. If it is not already here in some subsets, it is going to be impacting the workforce very, very soon. How do we find the jobs that is going to manage that? What are the new areas in digital transformation that we can send students down that road to learn programming, learn code? Do we wait till they reach tertiary institutions for that? Can we implement coding and so on at the primary school level? We are putting laptops, in primary schools. We are putting laptops in secondary schools. Why are we not refocusing some of that? And the third main area is the environment. We do have this whole issue of climate change, global warming, agriculture, crop resilience, environmental concerns, how we're going to deal with coastal issues, coastal erosion, flooding. These are all areas where there are opportunities for new careers 5, 10, 15 years down the road. And there's a sub-layer below that. How do we determine what is the direction we want to take in those areas? So you have the data analysis component. We're going to need a ton-load of young men and women who understands mathematics, statistics. How do we do, look at the data and how do we plan? What it is that we're going to need in the country, how much of what that we're going to need. You're going to need a whole bunch of people to do that. And then you need a sub-layer below that who's going to write policy in health, in wellness, NGOs, participation of all the organizations to come up with policies that will speak to government policy. So you see, the layered approach is what we have to take. So the state now has a function here. How do we use GATE to fund training in those career paths?
Wow.
How do we align state hiring for, let's say, graduates? If we know we have 9 or 10 career paths that we want 5, 10, 15 years down the road, the state should really take that Zeppo, as the old people call it, and say, let's bring in 15, 20, 30, 50 graduates, and let's train them up in here. Put them in state organizations. So when they leave these organizations, under the care of the state, they are now in private sector enterprise. They can do entrepreneurship. We can build solutions for the rest of the world, because that is the key thing for us now. What it is in Trinidad and Tobago, we're talking about export drive, we're talking about foreign direct investment. But we must also ask what it is that we can do that the rest of the world want. And if there is no clear guidance in terms of our government strategy, our policy direction, it means that all of us will be all over the place. And if we're all over the place, we are not going to be focusing for 5, 10, 15 years down the road. And I mean, we could talk a little bit more in some details of some of those career options, but there are clear advantages because it is what is coming. Now, I'm not saying don't learn plumbing, don't learn to be an electrician, don't learn to be a mechanic. There are plenty of areas that AI can't replace, right? AI not going to change your clutch, it's not going to change your carburetor, clean your injectors, right? So there are some areas of work that will continue. And I mean, there's nothing not noble with somebody who wants to have a parlor, who wants to have a roti shop, a little restaurant. There's nothing wrong with that. But if we are to hold national development bull by the horn, and we have to be competitive with our Caribbean neighbors, we have to be competitive with North America and Europe, there are some career options, career paths, some training that we must have our citizens participate in to be competitive with the rest of the world, because we're going to get left behind. And we are already behind the 8-ball, Pastor.
Right.
When you look at what's happening in Barbados, in Jamaica, digital nomads. When you look at even the issue of digital currency, Jamaica has embraced it. Barbados have embraced it. We have taken, we take a very, the approach we've taken is a cautious one. So we've kind of put a hold on it till 2027, while I hope Central Bank gets their stuff in order, get the correct legislation and thing in place. But while we wait for 2 years, the rest of the world is moving.
I only have 2 minutes in this segment, but I want to ask you this. Diversification in terms of your education system. You're talking about digital, you're talking about the environment, you're talking about a whole lot of stuff here that, to my mind, will require a radical shift.
Sure. Yes, definitely. And the longer we wait, the more we have to do. Is the more we have to do. And we are on the brink of a massive brain drain in this country. So when you can't get the jobs that a lot of our graduates are graduating in, and you can't get it here, they will migrate. And when they migrate, then we lose the capacity. And it's going to cost us to import capacity, right? So, we have a lot of kids outside here who win scholarships. We spend about $400 million a year in scholarship grants. Now, I am absolutely positive sure that the ministry is looking at these things, because while as MP sitting at Joint Select Committee meetings, I would have heard bits and pieces of some of the plans in terms of the curricula and so on. But I am not seeing it resonating in our career options and so on. You know, you hear about lawyer, doctor, engineer, you know, the three main fields. But you're not hearing about the other things we're talking about. Are we granting scholarships? So are we sending our young engineers to The Hague? Or we're sending them to Holland to learn flooding, how to deal with flooding
Hold
and
a
so
second.
on, you know?
No, we run out of time. We have a last segment. We'll
Sure.
continue with this. And I want to ask Brother Rushton, that sounds nice, Brother Rushton. I want to ask him about tertiary level education.
Yeah.
What are the implications for tertiary level education? So see you. We have the last segment coming up. Even now you could call your friends, you know, and tell them Inspired is on.
You're viewing Real TV. Thanks for choosing us.
Macon Construction Company Limited. Save big whilst building stronger. We build with our Macon innovative building systems, which provides high wind speed, earthquake, sea blast and fire resistance. Is thermally and acoustically insulated. Provides improved construction timelines and cost savings. We provide construction services from design to finish and everything in between. Macon Construction Company Limited. Building green today with tomorrow's technology. Contact or visit us today.
Ready to take your sales career to the next level? If you have a passion for connecting with clients, building meaningful relationships, and delivering results, we want you on our team. Join a dynamic, motivated environment where your experience matters, your ideas are valued, and your drive defines your success. Step into a role with real opportunity. Join the sales team at Real TV, where your future begins.
Call us today at 292-6470 or WhatsApp us at 384-7142. You can also send an email to realtv.corporate@gmail.com.
When security matters most, choose Catch Security Services Limited. We are proudly approved by the Ministry of Homeland Security. We protect your home, business, community, and much more. Our services include professional baton and armed officers, specialized K-9 units, mobile patrols, secure cash pickups, secure transport, and pepper spray applications and supply coming soon. Don't wait. Secure your assets now. Contact Catch Security today. Call 622-6601, email info@cssl-tt.com, or visit our office at 30-32, Saddle Road, Maraval.
Get ready to...
You know, folks, if you don't sense a need, you wouldn't gravitate to satisfying the need. That is the point I want to make, because the discussion we're having today and some other discussions is not happening everywhere. And I suppose we have to be pushed, and the circumstances have to tell us, well, listen, we're about to crash, so we have to change, and it might be too late. So we've been proactive here. Tell us about the changes must take place at the tertiary level.
So right now, we're probably a bit over 60% in terms of our tertiary graduations. I think we're well above the requirement that we need. My problem is that I don't think we are graduating kids in the right spaces they need to be. Mm-hmm. So I look at graduates coming out of UTT and so on, and I'm seeing a lot of petroleum-based graduations, petroleum-based degrees and so on. No, nothing is wrong with that. So, I mean, don't let anybody say that, Rushton said that those degrees are bad. But let me toss this at you. We have a refinery here that, right now we're trying to figure out what to do with it. it's going to cost us $1 billion or more to bring it back up. But why bring up back a refinery doing pure fossil fuel where we're going to have challenges getting anything made with fossil fuel out into the global market based on some of the new regulations? Can we re-engineer our refinery to be a hybrid with hydrogen, solar, all the other renewables? And if we have a 5 or 7 year plan for that, let's put out 100 students in UTT or UE to be able to run that facility 7 years down the road. So it's about how do you plan the labor for the industry that you want. And it's not only in refining. How do you use tertiary? And it is critical. I think if we have to be competitive with the rest of the world, we have to be able to market apple for apple. At the end of the day, we have to go head to head. Now, mind you, Trinidad and Tobago has world-class engineers. I could tell you, traveling, in the oil sector, any part of the world you go Africa, you go Europe, you go in the North Sea, you walk on a platform.
And you see us.
2 Trinidadians there, senior men, drilling and so on. So we have been able to put out best in class in those areas. I do believe we can continue to put out best in class in any other area of environmental sciences, in renewables. We have this hydrogen facility that we're talking about earmarked for 2029 from Hydrogen de France. I understand that it's stuck somewhere at the EMA level. But bringing on 70 tons of hydrogen on a plant, it means that we need to start training some young engineers coming out of UTT, coming out of UE to man that plant. And I understand that Hydrogen de France had said that if this model works, they can do up to 5 or 6 more plants in Trinidad and Tobago.
Wow.
And make Trinidad and Tobago an export hub for hydrogen. You understand? So, again, this is conversations that I was privy to while as MP attending some of these meetings and so on. And those things are critical in terms of our policy development as a country. These are the new things. In 2040, Japan is going to stop the making of combustible engines. No gas, no diesel. Strictly electric, hydrogen, or other types of renewables.
They're going to stop.
They're going to stop.
You're sure of that?
Yes, they're going to stop. That has been earmarked. Next year, Europe has said that any goods coming into the market, the European Union, if your factories cannot have a label that it was manufactured using green energy and green this and green that, they're not going to allow your products onto the market. So all of these things, it means that our factories, our systems here, have to be re-engineered with new thinking, new people, new science. Who are going to do that? Young Trinidadians and Tobagonians. And if we don't get the state to start modeling tertiary education, we have a ministry for that. We have a very good leader in that ministry, Dr. Prasad.
Everybody
Excellent
respects
guy,
him, yes.
Right? And I truly believe that he has a good vision for that. And given time, I think getting our alignment going. So our trade policy has to be in alignment. Our new business has to be in alignment. Our new industry has to be in alignment. And our education has to be in alignment to make sure all fits into everyone by the time we get to 2030, 2035. That is the kind of thinking we have to
We have 5 more minutes, and give me that 5 minutes. Here's the question, and I didn't tell you before. Do you think we have to do a lot of changes in our political conversation? I don't know, but I find it is sometimes devoid of what I call proactive visionary thinking. And I don't want to criticize the government, but I'm saying if what you are saying is correct, and I believe, then we have to go on a different trajectory. You don't think so?
I think so. I don't think it is not impossible to do. Again, I have a different view of things. I think these 5-year cycles of governance doesn't work for us in this country at all. By the time a new administration comes in place, you take 2 years to settle down. In your 3rd year, you're trying to get your policies and your position through. And by the 4th year, you're planning for the next election.
You're fighting election,
right?
Yes.
So unless we get to the point where we get a longer cycle, and in terms of how you deal with policy, you see, my take is that, we used to run a competition long ago in one of the companies that we worked for, that they tell us, look, don't go and reinvent the wheel. See what we're doing in the rest of the world and see if you could copy it. A lot of the things that we want to do, it's already being done all over the world. You know, go look and see what they're doing at MIT. Why it is less than 1% of our budget is in research and development. Why it is less than 1% is in agricultural research and development of our budget. When you look at some, you know, other societies, in Scandinavian societies, research is 15 and 20% of their budgets and so on. So it means that we have to focus differently on how we spend money. Money is tight, money is very difficult to come by. I do believe we should be focusing more on FDI, get our intellectual property, get companies to come and invest. We have cocoa, we have fish, we have so many modern science, and we have the resources. And you know what's really important to me, Pastor? We have a bright, young, technocratic class in this country. We are pumping out bright, young engineers from UTT, UE, every cycle. I just think that we're not focusing where they ought to be going. Get government to start the initial process. Because Caribbean businessmen are very risk averse. We don't like to take risk. We want the government to take the first risk. We will come in and then we take it over. We see it all the time with these IPOs, right? So I'm saying that shift, you talk about policy shift, you talk about, you know, how we do things from a political arm. If a problem is a political problem, the fix has to be a political fix. We can't fix something that is a political problem with an engineering fix, with a cultural fix. Politics determine where we go. What is the language we talk? How do we sell the message? How do we give hope? How do we tell our young people that, listen, we are going to set you apart from the rest of the world. We are going to take a leadership role back in the Caribbean again, and I want you to lead. And you tell every graduate who goes on a scholarship that when you come back to Trinidad, I am going to give you an opportunity to help build this country with your time and investment back into the country when you come. And you shape these minds. I don't think it is impossible. I think we just don't have the language right now.
Let me ask you the final question. So you are saying we need to spend more, not just for a ministry of research, but every ministry should engage in significant research.
I think not only at the ministry level, because the ministries are administrative arms.
Yes.
They are not developmental and research arms. But we have a very fantastic campus called University of the West Indies here. We have some of the brightest. My past, I don't know if you know, we have a lot of, the names are running away from me, but one of our professors here in UE, he's the head of AI for the UN.
Wow.
We have professors here who are taking charge in scientific development in oceans and so on. So it is not impossible. So I'm saying what we ought to be getting is more policy direction coming out of academia, right? And those policy positions must speak to government policy. How can we adopt what, you know, our academia is saying? They are doing the research. They have the statisticians. They have the data analysis. They can run, you know, they have the supercomputers, whatever they need to have. And they tell government, look, we want to fix flooding in this country. This is what we need to do. This is how we need to do it. This is the resource. This is the training. This is the people we need to manage. And can we get them in 5 years? We want funding to train 400 engineers or 300 engineers to deal with that. You send these children away, you bring them back, they work for the state. Now, nothing is impossible, but we are fixing problems. And I think if we don't get to a country where our leaders, our systems are fixing problems and not creating vanity. Vanity is a problem because, you know, we sign 100 MOUs in 10 years, but we ain't get an update on one. 100 MOUs we sign, and then we no update on one. So vanity has to be out of the way. And I mean, if I was the Prime Minister, any minister of government come with a cabinet note, with a project, the first thing I would ask, what problems are we solving? And if you can explain to me that we're solving a problem, I'll put an X on that and scrap that, come back again. Yeah. Nothing should be for vanity in this country anymore. Fix a problem, traffic, flooding, power issues, environment. Tell me we're going to spend $100 million to fix a problem in this country, and we take it from
Well, you know, folks, time has run out. I see the technical director looking at us. Time has run out. But I want to say that, you know, you sound like a potential prime minister.
That got me in trouble the last time.
I have always felt that way. But we're going to bring him back the first Wednesday. All right, the first Wednesday, because he brings substance, he brings value. And what is more, what I think our greatest need is to engage in advanced critical thinking. So we don't study how much points we will get and how much millions we'll make in the short term, because if it's of value, it will make, if not in the short term, in the medium term and in the long term, but what is best for our country and best for the young people. May God bless you. See you next week, Wednesday. We have another fantastic guest coming, and the focus will be on national development. May God bless you, and thank you so much. Thank you.